Hi folks, hope you're doing okay. Just come back from the our second trip to the Windermere Record Fair. This time it was over 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. We decided to go on the Sunday with the hope that the third main seller would be there. He owns a shop in Dumfries over the border and can't attend Saturdays. Unfortunately, he wasn't there. I think because the main hall was having ceiling work done to it, so they were shoved off into a smaller side room, so there wasn't room enough for 3 vendors. Anyway, this is what I've picked up. About a dozen albums. None of these I've cleaned or played yet, so let's see what I've managed to get. Starting with the, as usual, the cheap bins. And first up, Rory Gallagher with his 1982 album Jinx. I think he only did a couple of albums after this. But it's Rory Gallagher, it's bound to be great rockin' blues. Second up, last time I think it was at Windermere, I managed to pick up Ram Jam's first album, the one that featured their hit single Black Betty. This is their second album, portrait of the artist as a young ram, and they were still being called American Ram Jam at this point to distinguish themselves from the English band of similar name. This is from 1978. Really enjoyed the first album, so hopefully this will be just as good. Next up, we have Brand X with their album Product from, what year was it? 1979. Now, I know this isn't probably one of their best albums, but I thought it being in the cheap bins, it's worth purchase. On here you have Phil Collins, obviously, John Godsoul, Mike Clark, John Giblin, Robin Lumley, Percy Jones, Peter Robinson and Maurice Pert. So it should be some good British jazz fusion there. And sticking with jazz and drummers, I thought I'd give this one a try. This is Max Roach with Drums Unlimited. Obviously Max Roach is a supreme jazz drummer. This was recorded in 1966 on the Atlantic label. On 3 of the 6 tracks, it's just Max Roach on drums unaccompanied. On the other 3 tracks, you have James Spaulding on alto sax, Freddie Hubbard on trumpet, Ronnie Matthews on piano, and Jimmy Merritt on bass. And on one of the tracks, you also have Roland Alexander on soprano sax. Not sure what this is going to be like, but I like jazz, I like percussion. Max Roach is a great drummer, so I'm hoping this will be really enjoyable. And sticking with jazz drummers, we have the great Billy Cobham with I think this was his first solo album, Spectrum. I used to have this on cassette. I might still have that somewhere. This is great jazz fusion. On here with him you have Tommy Bolin on guitar and Jan Hammer on keyboards and Lee Sklar on bass. Not heard this for a long time, but I remember it being excellent. This is on Atlantic again. From what year? Was it 1973? Next up, we have Mahogany Rush with their album 4. I've only got one Mahogany Rush album, that's the live album. They were obviously led by Frank Marino on guitar, whose major hero was Jimi Hendrix. Too much so, according to some. But the live album is excellent, so I'm hoping this will be really good. This is from 1976, and I love it. It's still got the till receipt from when the person bought it, and it was sold in Woolworths in Southampton on the 26th of October 1981 for the pricely sum of £1.99. There you go. Expecting this to be really good. And there was another one by, this time, Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush as they went. This is from 1979, Tales of the Unexpected. This is half studio and half live, which is a bit unusual because this is 1979, the year before they released their live album. But and on the studio side, you get his versions of Dylan's All Along the Watchtower and the Beatles' Norwegian Wood. So he's a great guitarist, should be very good. All right, those were the ultra cheap ones. The next one I picked up was the first album from 1970 by CCS. CCS were obviously Alexis Korner's band, big band, with brass and guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, with Alexis on vocals. They did 3 albums. This is the first, and this is where their big hit single, Whole Lot of Love, came from. Obviously the cover of the Zeppelin track, which was used by Top of the Pops as its theme tune for quite a while. You also get John Lee Hooker's Boom Boom and the Stones' I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Oh, as well as Tull's Living in the Past. On here you get great British jazz artists like Harold Beckett, Henry Lowther, Kenny Wheeler, Harold McNair all play in the brass section. Herbie Flowers provides bass guitar. Tony Carr's on drums. I like the other 2 albums. I think this should be good as well. Next, an artist I've been looking for on vinyl for a long time, but you never see any of his stuff at a reasonable price. I've got most of it, well, I've got a lot of his albums on CD, but nothing on vinyl. And this one is Brian Auger, his album with Julie Tippett's Encore. Julie Tippett, who was Julie Driscoll before she married Keith Tippett. This is from 1978 on Warner Brothers. The last time they'd worked together, I think, had been about 1969. So they got back together for this one-off album. And on here you get the Animals hit Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood, and they do Jack Bruce's Rope Ladder to the Moon, a couple of Al Jarreau numbers, Stevie Winwood and Jim Capaldi's No Time to Live. This should be, again, really good. I'd love to be able to find some of the early stuff with the Trinity, or even Brian Auger's Oblivion Express, but never see them around. Was happy to see this at a really good price. And last we get to some prog, or some neo-prog. and this is Palace's first album, The Sentinel. Another one I've got on cassette somewhere, I think. Palace were obviously a sort of the prog band in the sort of quite a bit heavier vein as far as I remember. This is from 1984 with a great cover by Patrick Woodruff, and it was produced by Eddie Offord, who used to produce Yes. So that's Palace and The Sentinel. And again, last time I picked up, I don't know if it was at Windermere or at Kendal, Graham Nash's first album. So today I picked up the first album by his compatriot in CSN and Y in CSN, Stephen Stills, with his first album on Atlantic in, what year was it? (1970). As far as I understand, the first two Stills albums are the ones to get. So we'll be looking out for the second album. This is the one on which he does his big hit, Love the One You're With, and it also features Black Queen. Apart from CSN and Y, and the first Manassas album, this is my first Stephen Stills album. And again, recently I picked up a Faces album, and today I got this one, Long Player, which I think was their second album from, I think is it 1972 or somewhere around that period. This is stitched around the edges to make it look like an old 78 with 78 type labels. And this is one where they do a live version of Paul McCartney's Maybe I'm Amazed. I don't think you can go much wrong with a bit of Faces. And sticking to a similar sort of album, this is Kossoff, Kirk, Tetsu and Rabbit's album from, I think this one was from 1972. This is basically free without Paul Rodgers. I think this came after the Wishing Well album. It's the only album they did. I think I've heard a track or two on on compilations, but I've never heard the album in full. Most of it seems to be written by Rabbit, but sort of heavy blues rock of that period, it's going to be good. So that was it. Quite another good selection of stuff, I think, that I've managed to get today. Right. Hope everybody's okay, and I will see you soon. I think I should try and get round to doing the part 11 of my Krautrock series sometime in the coming week, I hope. Right, okay, take care, see you soon.